All right, Brother Kadash, want to give our praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Yakak Kwadash. The title of this is going to be Race Riots in Springfield, Illinois. We just going to let the spirit flow, um, flow us to where we need to go. All off the top of the head. So we just going to start off straight in here, couple things I wanted to say before starting is, I had a guy name his channel was named Israelite Only Camp or something like that. He wanted to debate me on the comment board. Not that it matters or anything. We just really use these things as more motivation and practice. So we'll converse with you. We'll go back and forth about the scriptures with you because it's really just keeping oil, like it says in Matthew 25, just keeping oil in practice, when we clearly know it's easy work, it's very simple, man. You have to show me or prove to me that Israelites by blood, meaning your lineage goes back to the man Israel, that his name was Jacob and his name was changed to Israel. You will have to prove that nobody from his genealogy or nobody that comes from his seed, on and on and on, right? 12 tribes of Israel, right, and their descendants was ever called a Gentile in history, which you clearly cannot prove that. So yes, it's possible that Israelites were being called Gentiles, and those Gentiles that are Israelites by blood. It's the same thing if you say, let's just say, if I say, should he go amongst the Americans and teach the Americans? Should he go amongst the dispersed among the Americans and teach the Americans? What does that mean? So like if I'm talking about, let's just say West Africa, I just met a guy, he was from Nigeria, and I was just kind of picking his brain and stuff on, how they do things over there, multiple wives, and he was just breaking it down how, yeah, they were able to do those things and the women were a lot more humble. And then I asked him, about West Africa, and he was like, yeah, he agreed with me. He was like, yeah, you guys come from up to West Africa and stuff. To speaking about the black African Americans, he was speaking as us, saying that we come from the West Africa, Nigeria, Uganda, those different parts, right? I said Nigeria, yeah. I'm just picking his brain a little bit. Now they would call us the dispersed, right? They would call us dispersed because we've been scattered from West Africa due to the transatlantic slave trade, right? But that's actually a Bible prophecy, which if you go back deeper, you actually find out that we are the Israelites. It's just like if you go back and research Mexicans, you could trace them back to Aztecs and Mayans. But if you go back even farther than that, then you could trace them back to being Israelites. So it's just how far you want to dig, right? But they would call us the dispersed over here. That's how they refer to us, as the dispersed or diaspora, right? So then let's take it for context. A man from West Africa, like that guy, he's from Nigeria. Let's just say he said, look, I'm gonna go amongst the dispersed. Speaking about black African Americans, right? And I'm gonna go to America, right? I'm gonna go to the Americans, right? And teach the Americans, just like it says in John 7:35, just in a different way, right? In a different context. Just using different words, right? Is he talking about he's gonna come over and teach Asian Americans? Is he saying that he's gonna teach white Americans, Caucasian Americans? What Americans are he teaching? He's talking about African Americans. Why are they called African Americans? Well, they're called African Americans because we were dispersed from America. I mean, from Africa to America by the transatlantic slave trade. So they'll call us Americans, but they're gonna say, look, you still are African because you're African by your blood. That's what they would say, right? I'm just going off what they would say, giving you an analogy. But then they would put the American thing on it to say, look, you guys been Americanized, you lived American, you speak that language, you lived in America, you were brought to America during slavery, so you guys, or we look at you as African Americans rather than just full African. It's the same thing in the Bible, bro. It's the same thing. So the lost sheep of the house of Israel, the lost ones, right? And then it tells you in Second Maccabees chapter 6 that they couldn't profess themselves to be a Jew at all. So what were they calling themselves? They are calling themselves by the other nation's name. No different than you have Israelites today calling themselves African Americans. It's the same exact thing. So they were calling themselves Greeks. They were calling themselves Romans. I believe Apostle Paul was Roman. He would be considered a Roman if he had Roman citizenship and he speak Greek. So he could be considered a Greek in a way, or let's just say a Roman, right? So does that mean that he wasn't an Israelite by blood? Of course, he was an Israelite by blood from the tribe of Benjamin. So it's the same thing, right? The Gentiles. What Gentiles are you talking about? Edomite Gentiles? You need something out of here? Are you talking about Edomite Gentiles? Are you talking about um, Ishmaelite Gentiles? Because Galatians 4 clearly tells us that Ishmael, matter of fact, let's get it. Are you talking about what type of Gentiles are you talking about? There's no nation called the Gentile. I'm a Gentile by blood. No, that's a term. You could say I'm a Gentile. You can't say by, I mean, it just means nation. That's what it means. And if you look up the definition and you go into a little research a little bit deeper, you're also talking about of Israel. That's all it means. So you have to go by the nation by name. The only nation by name as Israel that's named for salvation is the nation of Israel. No other nation. Esau, it does. You're not gonna find a passage where it says Esau shall obtain salvation, or Ishmael shall obtain salvation. The only one is Israel, and there's a reason why, man. And it's a very simple reason why. So yes, you have Israelites. Of course you would. It would be foolish to make the claim that Israelites were never. I'm talking about Israelites by blood were never called Gentiles ever. That would be a very foolish statement that you can't prove. So yes, you have Israelites that were living amongst Gentiles and they were being referred to as Gentiles. Just like you have Israelites that were living amongst the Greeks and they were referred to as Greeks. Same thing with the Romans. You have Israelite men that got very, very high positions. Just like Cornelius, you know, that were referred to as Romans, but that don't mean that they weren't Israelites by blood. Same thing you got going on over here in America. We're all Americans. If you have American citizenship, we're all Americans, but we all know that there's different type of Americans, man. We understand it. Just like if you're a Mexican American, we know you're American because you have a citizenship. That's all it is, man. But you're really Mexican. You see, which that goes even deeper, you know. But let's go into it, right? Galatians 4, because this kills. Cause so if you say anybody could be saved, there's some even in Galatians, which you Christians, and that's the problem, man. That's why I want to get into the race riots in Springfield, Illinois. This Christian mindset, man. Right? Because the same people that had us in slavery, that was doing these acts on us, which I'm gonna go through the different acts that were committed. This is just on Wikipedia, right? They were doing this under the guise of being Christians, man. Now you guys want to be arm to arm with them? No, fuck that, man. We're trying to get salvation from them, not be saved with them. You see how crazy you do, son? So this is Galatians 4, right? And I want to just go straight to the point. Verse 22. It says, "For it is written that Abraham had two sons." Okay, so we know Abraham had two sons. These two sons that he's talking about would be Ishmael and Isaac, right? We all agree, okay? All the Christians say we all agree, right? It says the one by a bondmaid and the other by a free woman. So we know that Sarah was the free woman and she had the son Isaac. We know the bondmaid was Hagar and she had the son Ishmael. We all agree, right? It says, but he who was of the bondwoman was born after the flesh. You see that? It says he was born after the flesh. Now, we could go to Romans 9, and that's the haymaker, the complete end to all your Christian, everybody could be saved, right? It says, but he of the free woman was by the promise. The promise of what? Well, the promise of salvation, of nation being able to be saved, and the Lord coming back and saving us, and us inheriting the kingdom. That's the promise, man. Have you not read Isaiah 61? Did you not read what's that, Genesis 27? The promise, right? The blessing that was given to Jacob, right? So one is of the flesh and one is of the promise. That means that, guess what? Because you can't say that this promise was literally for Isaac, the man Isaac. No, it's talking about his seed, which is Jacob, and we know Esau sold his birthright, so that means that salvation is for the Israelites. It's just that simple, right? It says, which things are an allegory, for these are the two covenants, right? That one from Mount Sinai, which gathers to bondage, which is Agar, right? Now I want to get straight to the point. I mean, verse 26 says Jerusalem, which is above, is a free. I mean, it's just, I ain't ducking nothing. I just want to get straight to the point, right? Now, verse 28 says, now we, brethren, as Isaac was, are the children of promise. So you see how in verse 25 and 22, I told you it was talking about Isaac and Ishmael. Now, was I going off my own heart? No. I'm proven to be correct about what I was saying so far, because verse 28 tells you, brethren, as Isaac. It mentions Isaac. And it says, are the children of the promise. Right? So Abraham had other seed, just like for example, he had Ishmael. But Ishmael is not a children of promise. But guess what? Ishmael and the people that come from Ishmael, Ishmaelites, they're still here on earth today. Salvation is not for them, according to the Bible, because the children of the promise comes from Isaac. I mean, is it something being twisted here, or is it just that simple, up and down? So it would be incorrect for you to say that anybody could be saved on earth. Any nation of people could be saved, because Ishmael could not be saved. And it's going to tell you. It says, but as then he that was born after the flesh persecuted him that was born after the spirit. Even so it is now. Yeah, and they literally did that in a sub-Saharan desert trade slave, right? It says, nevertheless, and they do that here in America. They come over here in America and they open up all their clothing stores, they chicken shacks, they sell liquor and bootleg this, bootleg that, all in the hood, and they persecute us. And then they take that money and they don't reinvest that money into the hood. They send that money back to their people. I see it all the time. That was born after the spirit, even so it is now. Right now, watch this. Nevertheless, what say the scriptures? Cast out the bondwoman in her son. So we gotta cast out the bondwoman in her son, and that happened right in the old. We read about that in the Old Testament, right? It says in Genesis, it says, "Shall not be heir." It says, "And for the son of the bondwoman should not be heir with the son of the free woman," and that's forever. It says, "So then, brethren, we are not children of the bondwoman, but of the free." Yeah, because we come from Abraham and Sarah, which had a son called Isaac. That's why the Bible always go back over Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. Why is the Bible mentioning Abraham, Isaac, Jacob? It shouldn't matter if it's just anybody. No, it says Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And then when you go to Galatians 3, when it says neither Jew nor Greek, there is neither bond nor free, neither male nor here, let me read it. There is neither male nor female, for ye are all one in Christ, Yahushua. If ye be Christ, then are ye Abraham's seed and heirs according to the promise. But Galatians 4 told you, yeah, but it's not just about if you're from Abraham's seed, period. It's from a particular Abraham seed, which is Isaac. And Galatians 4 goes to tell you that. And then if you go to Romans 9, it tells you that you have to come from Abraham, Isaac, and then Jacob, because it tells you that that the Lord hates Esau, and Esau sold his birthright. So it's a process of elimination. It's just that simple. But you guys want to follow everything that the same people that had us in slavery, that we're supposed to be saved from. That's the whole point of needing being saved, right? Because we had in Deuteronomy 28, we were presented with life or death. If you follow the commandments, you have everlasting life. If you don't follow the commandments, you're going to have death, or all these curses which leads to death, right? So we need salvation from those curses that lead to death. And what was some of the curses that led to death? Slavery by people, by a foreign nation. Transatlantic slave trade. Being called byword, bywords and proverbs, the word Niger, let's say it that way, right? It says we should have no might, and just going off the top of my head, we should have no might in our hands when these other people are oppressing us. We should sow and not we. I mean, we should sow. We should build but not benefit off these things. At the hands of who, man? Who was going to oppress us? But you guys are saying that they should be saved with us. So let's go through this. Salvation, I'm sorry, Springfield, Illinois, Springfield race riots of 1908, right? It says consisted of events of mass racial violence committed against African Americans. So these same people call themselves Christians and Catholics, man. They did the same thing to the Aztecs, man, right? And look at the mass racial violence this people was. They was confederate together against us, like it says in Psalms 83, man. You guys trying to get these guys salvation, and you mad at your own brother because we saying, nah, fuck that. So we want to get salvation from them, not with them, right? And when I say from them, I guess I say the word is against them. I mean, we getting salvation from the Lord, but we're getting taken out of their hands. You see what I'm saying? Out of captivity from them. We need salvation from captivity, but who has us in captivity? Well, you would say the white man. So what sense would it make for him to be saved with us? That don't make no sense. We're getting saved by the Lord from our captivity, which is at the hands of especially the white man. He's number one on the list, which are the Edomites. It says, right, so just go through the Bible, man, and find me something that says Esau shall be saved or Ishmael shall be saved. You can't. So you got to use terms like everybody, anybody, Gentile and stuff, and you making a whole doctrine off of it, man. And you've been proved wrong plenty of times, right? It says committed against African Americans by the mob of about 5,000 white American and European immigrants in Springfield, Illinois. And this is where I'm at, Springfield, Illinois. Now look how the spirit works, right? So something happened where fast forward all the way in 2023. Here it is. You know, I ain't gonna get my date, my birth date, or so-called birth date, or the day I was born out. But whenever that day happened, you know, it was in a spirit set up that I would be out here on these highways and byways, you know, waking up the lost sheep of the house of Israel here in Springfield, Illinois, and telling these devils to their face every week, you know, that they going into slavery for what they did and their kingdom gonna be destroyed. You know, it says between August 14th and 16th, 1908, 2 black men had been arrested as suspects in a rape, an attempt rape, and murder, right? And we know they was putting a lot of these things on our people and lying, right? It says the alleged victims were 2 young white women, which probably liked them, you know, and probably came onto them. And then when they got caught, you know, they played victim. It says, and the father of one of them, when a mob seeking to lynch the man discovered the sheriff had transferred them out of the city, right? Because why would the sheriff do that? Because he probably knew it was some bullshit. It says the whites furiously spread out to attack black neighbors. See, they don't give no fuck about, these people aren't a righteous people. They don't give no fuck about what was right or what was wrong, or maybe they just had it wrong. They didn't care, man. And then they started taking it out on other black neighborhoods that had nothing to do with it. Just got to taking it out on black people. And you know, hey, you guys that think everybody could be saved, it's gonna be funny, man. We gonna rejoice and we gonna laugh in your fucking face when these devils start showing their true color. You gotta remember, the closer we get to the end of that destruction, Jacob's trouble, how do you think Jacob's trouble is going to happen in Jeremiah 30? Because these devils are going to say, look, we done had enough of it, and they're going to show their true colors, and they're going to resort back to doing things like this, man. And they're not going to be ashamed of it, because the Lord's going to put the spirit on them to do that, so it could be a such thing as Jacob's trouble, man. And they going to start doing this, and you goofies are going to come to a point, man. I mark my words. You goofballs are going to come to a point where you're going to say, damn, them Hebrew Israelites, they're right. The white man, he's the goddamn devil. I can't. And you guys, then it's gonna be too late because the Lord's gonna shut the door on you, right? Because we've been warning you and telling you, man. I mean, the Bible tells us never trust thy enemy. Who is our enemy? Is okay. We just got a made up enemy, and nobody on earth is the enemy of the so-called black man. Come on, see how goofy that is. It's clearly, if anybody with even a peanut-sized brain had to guess number one on the list of enemies to the black Americans, who would that be? It would be the white man. Come on, bro. The Lord said he's going to save us from our enemies, man. Now, look, it says, just like we got punished, we had good Israelites, like Daniel. He still had the curses on him, too, because We were punished as a nation. So just because you say, well, there's some good white people, hey, well, they got to be punished as a nation, the same way we have to, right? It says, and destroy, they murdered black citizens on the streets. And this is the people that you want us to be in the middle of a church with, arm to arm, saying that they could be saved with us, and we don't get no revenge. Oh, you think revenge is a bad thing? Did the Lord say He's coming back for vengeance? It says, and destroy black businesses and homes. The state militia was called out to quell the rioting. So let's go through some information. I want to go to the different attacks. So the target was black Americans, me and you, our people, right? This ain't too far. This ain't too far. This is 1908. This is not even the 1800s. It's in 1908. You see what I'm saying? This wasn't too long ago at all, in the bigger scheme of things, right? Now it says they burned them, right? So arsenal, assault, battery, criminal intimidation, home invasion, larceny, lynching, mayhem, obstructing of firefighter, robbery, slashing, vandalism. Where's the reparations at in Springfield, Illinois, to all the black residents here? Where's the reparations at for this? Nothing. So you mean to tell us that we supposed to be assaulted, our homes evaded, killed, raped, murdered, robbed, slashed, and nothing is supposed to happen to the people that did it to us? The law, statutes, and commandments don't work that way. The law, statutes, commandments, we've been going over them at camp. It clearly says if you steal, this is supposed to happen to you. If you do this, if you kill your brother, this is supposed to happen to you. And a lot of judgments for these different. If you commit adultery with a man's wife, you supposed to be put to death, man. A lot of the judgments is you put to death. So our own law, statutes, commandments don't even work that way. If you do something, then something bad gonna happen back to you. But yeah, for them, they just get to go off free. Don't nothing bad happen to them. We just supposed to forgive them. You see what I'm saying? Come on, bro. That's bullshit. And we gonna bring it out through the Bible. Matter of fact, let's just keep jumping back and forth, right? So let's jump back to the Bible, right? And then let's go to, and these is very, very, very simple things. But I guess you could say they're kind of deep too. So let's go here to the book of Luke, chapter 1. So this is, what you call New Testament, right? Luke chapter 1, let me see what verse. Gospel, right? So let's hear it. This is Luke 1, verse 67. It says, and his father Zacharias was filled with the Holy Ghost and prophesied, saying, so Zacharias, John's father, John the Baptist's father, right? It says, prophesied, saying, right, blessed be the Lord God of Israel, who has visited and redeemed his people, right? So the Lord God of the world. No, it says the Lord God of Israel. You goofballs try to twist it, and then you hate the Bible so much that it says, blessed be the Lord God of Israel. You hate that so much that the Lord chose a people, right? That you want to switch it now and say, well, all nations could become Israel. How convenient is it to say that, right? It says, for he has visited and redeemed his people. So now y'all done took the word Israel from literally meaning you are a descendant of the man Israel to just meaning like it's a title now. Like y'all made the word Israel the same thing as being a Christian now. Like, okay, you're just an Israelite if you believe. No, the word is, when it talks about the Lord God of Israel in the Bible, is meaning that you're a descendant from Israel. That's what it means in the Bible, not your made up shit that you're making up of the word Israel. Say anybody could be Israel, like it's a gang. Y'all could just join our gang Israel if y'all believe in our God. That's not what Israel, when it speaks about Israel, that's not what it means in the Bible. It means a descendant of Israel. Look up the definition, man. It says, for he has visited and redeemed his people. So when it says his people, it's saying The descendants of Israel is his people. And has raised up a horn of salvation for us in the house of his servant David. It says it raised up a horn of salvation for us, man. Not for everybody. It says us, which is his people, the Israelites. Right? It says, as he spake by the mouth of his holy prophets, which have been since the world began. So this has been prophesied since the world began that this was going to happen. That's why I said to the guy I was kind of debating with on the comment board, bro, the Bible, we don't have to guess. The Bible tells us who obtained salvation. And that's what the book of Revelations is for. It tells you, Revelations 21 verse 12, it had 12 gates with the 12 names of the 12 tribes of Israel, of the Israelites on there. That's who salvation was for. It's just that simple, man. Revelations 11, Revelation 7. Right? So let's keep going. It says that we should be saved from our enemies and from the hands of all that hate us, to perform the mercies performed to our fathers. Fathers meaning there's a lineage. You come from your father's seed, man. That's why we say by blood, or you could say by seed, same thing. It says, it didn't say, and wacky tacky Catholics and Christians, it didn't say to perform the mercies promised to our mothers. It says to our fathers, man. That's a whole nother debate for a whole nother time. It says, and to remember his holy covenant. That's the point. We have to remember his holy covenant, right? The oath which he swore to our father Abraham, right? That he would grant unto us that we being delivered out. But remember, Abraham had multiple seeds. Ishmael was cast out. But we still take claim because Abraham's still our father too, right? But you guys, how convenient is it to just say, well, Abraham, and then anybody who was born from Abraham? Like, come on, man. And then even if you say that, then Moab and Ammon was born from Lot. They weren't even born from Abraham. So Moab and Ammon can't get salvation? Moab and Ammon still on earth today, man. The Chinese, Japanese, they're still on earth today. So they can't get salvation then because they don't come from Abraham's seed. But then you say anybody that believe can be saved. You see how fucking dumb that sounds? Come on, man. That's why we call y'all wacky tacky. Right? Now let's keep going. It says that he would grant unto us that we being delivered out of the hand of our enemies might serve him without fear. So now you guys finally waking up and you getting like a little bit of the truth, and you are realizing that we are the Hebrew Israelites. At least the so-called Negroes, African Americans are Israelites. You guys are saying that now, right? Even in the Christian churches, right? Well, who will be our enemies? Is it the Asian man? Yeah, all nations are our enemies, but who would be number one on the list of our enemies? Would it be the Asian man? Would it be the Japanese man that's been doing us so wrong? Is it the Arab man? Or is it the white man? Right, y'all that y'all want to save so much, because y'all don't give no fuck about the other nations, because y'all say, hey, look, man, you come from Abraham's seed. Hey, but guess what? Moab, what about Moab and Ammon? See, y'all don't care about them getting salvation. Y'all really want Esau to be saved, man. Right? It says, because y'all scared. It says, y'all scared to say, hey, we want our own thing. We're doing our own thing. And the Lord is for us and only for us. Y'all scared. Y'all want to be liked. Y'all want to be accepted. I made a video a long time ago. I'm going to have to, re-upload it. Called the acceptable Negro or something like that. You see it in high school all the time. Like when you was in high school, you get a Israelite dude, and let's just use that term instead. You get a Jake, and he wanted to always be amongst the Edomite boys, and he, they pretty much pimped him out. He pretty much was their slave because they wanted to be liked and accepted by them, so they went out their way to be accepted by them. You see that in that movie Django, when Samuel Jackson comes off the porch and he's like, what is that Negro doing on that horse? That's y'all modern day, man. And y'all don't even know it. It's crazy. Hey, it says, verse 75, we still got more. It says, in holiness and righteousness before him. So it's holiness and it's a righteous thing that the Lord's going to do this for us too. Also, it says, all the days of our life, and thou child should be called the prophet of the highest, For thou shalt go before the face of the Lord to prepare his ways, to give knowledge of salvation. So we supposed to go and give knowledge of salvation. Because really, when you look at the good gospel, which is spoken about in Isaiah 61, right? Well, that's is the good gospel is knowledge of salvation. That's what the gospel is, that we should be saved out the prisons, and we could go there too, It says to give knowledge of salvation into his people by the remission of their sins. In verse 68 and 69, I already told you who he's referring to as his people, which is Israel. So we're out giving knowledge. That's what we doing on the highways and byways. We giving the knowledge of salvation to the children of Israel, that you could be saved. You guys don't have no knowledge of salvation. You out here giving knowledge of salvation to anybody, but you don't really have knowledge of salvation because you're not breaking it down the right way. So you really lack knowledge, man. Like here, let's give you some more knowledge of salvation. This is John 4. I like this one. 22. Ye worship, this red letter too. So listen up. Ye worship, ye know not what. We know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews. So we know what the knowledge of salvation is. The knowledge of salvation is that salvation is for the Israelites only. Which is crazy because, this guy's name was Israelite only camp or something like that. You know what I mean? Revelations 2. Verse 25. But that which ye have already hold fast till I come, and he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations. Nah, they gonna have power with us. No, it says he gonna give us power over the nations, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron, as a vessel of powder should they be broken to shivers, even as I received of my Father. You guys are not noble enough, man. You guys are not warrior enough, man, for the Lord. You guys, the Lord give you this power, and it go to waste because you guys are not going to use the power. You see what I'm saying? Because you just think man. Let's keep going. Revelations 13, very classic precept, verse 9. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity should go into captivity. That's all we saying. The people that led us into captivity, if y'all believe that we are the Israelites, those same people are going into captivity, not salvation. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Didn't we get killed with the sword? Ain't we reading about it on your screen right now? So they literally was slashing. It says one of the attack types was assault, battery, slashing, and they were burning arson. They were burning, killing, slashing. So they was killing us, man. That means that's going to happen to them. And it also goes on to say, here's the patience and the faith of the saints. You guys look at us as bad guys because we have patience that this is going to happen and come true. We have faith that the Lord is going to get vengeance for us. And you guys call us the bad guy. The bad guys because of that. But in reality, in the Bible, we are actually the good guys. And you guys are the bad guys because you're going against the Lord's will for your own personal feelings. Right? It says weapons. They had brick bats, clotheslines, clubs, guns. Wait, killed with the sword, right? I mean, it's just mean weapon, right? It says razor, torches, right? Deaths, 16 at least. 8 black men, 1 black infant died from exposure, a black baby, right? Five white mob participants, so we ain't never go down without a fight, you know what I mean? But hey, Jacob, Israel is gonna fight back too when Jacob's trouble comes. They're gonna be fighting back this time. It says white mob participant, suicide, and 1 witness, right? It says victims, 2,000 black refugees, right? Because they were coming from the southern states to come up Midwest and North, to get away from that oppression that was going on down there. Ain't that crazy? You run from one place from oppression, and you just run right to another place to even more oppression. It was false accusation. See, I told you. A racial hoax. See? And let's keep going. Let's go down. 117 indictments. I want to read something on it. The riots, trials, and aftermath are said to be one of the most well-documented examples of the complex intersection of race, class, and criminal justice in the United States. all right here in the capital of Illinois, which they call the land of Lincoln, which is Springfield, Illinois. It says at least 16 people died as a result of the riot. I'm just skipping through. It says as a result of rioting, numerous black people left Springfield, but it is unclear how many moved away permanently. Although in the following months, over 100 riot-related indictments were issued and some pled to minor violations. Only one alleged rioter went to trial and conviction for lesser offenses. Of the two accused black men who were the initial focus of the lynch mob, one was eventually tried, convicted, and hanged. So they falsely accused them, tried them anyways, convicted him, and hanged him. And the other was set free. Right near the 100th anniversary in 2008. See how this ain't even that far? 100 years ago, well, going back from to 2008, it was 100-year difference, right? And then you add another what, like 15 years, well, 20, I'm sorry, 15 years on top of that. Come on, man. It says the city of Springfield erected historical markers and a memorial statue, and that's what you get. The riot was a catalyst of the formation of the National Association of the Advance of Colored People, organized to work on civil rights for African Americans. So what did we get? So one of ours was falsely hung, put to death, and others was put to death too. That had nothing really to do with the initial cause. And what do we get for that? You think the Lord ain't gonna give vengeance? You think it's not a righteous thing to give vengeance for that, man? Cause this ain't the first, that this is one of the most popular one, but there was many more other lynch mobs, man. That's what they would do on the regular, man. Something happened, right? They didn't care about the details. They got in their feelings. They got together, and they didn't care who it was. They just wanted to get back at the other race, and that's gonna come back to a place close to you. That's about to come back here in America, man. Let's go here. It says the crowd moved on toward the Badlands. Ain't that crazy? The Badlands. It says in the heart of the black residential area. So the heart of the of the black residential area was called the Badlands. Ain't that crazy? It says burning down homes. The mob destroyed a 4-block area and caused much damage to the neighboring streets. So that's like the same thing that happened in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So when you go to the hood today, which I was actually born in, if you come here to Springfield, Illinois, and you would say historically the worst place, the baddest land, they call it Badlands, or the worst or most um ghettoest destroyed place in Springfield, Illinois, and you had to circle around the neighborhood, you would actually circle on the map the neighborhood that I was born and raised in, which was they rebuilding it now, but it's shut down right now. Don't nobody live there right now. It's completely shut down and abandoned it. But they rebuilding it now. It used to be called Evergreen when I was living there as a kid, when I was born there, but then it was turned to Popular Place, because I think there's a street that's called Popular or something like that. But I really, because what I know, the facts I know about it is once I was actually living there, it was called Evergreen. We called it Evergreen, and it changed as the management came in and changed and bought it throughout the years and stuff like that. So that would be the worst place of Springfield, Illinois. Is that crazy? That's where I was born, right? So this is by the Spirit, right? It says when the firefighters arrived, but what I have to do is my research on Badlands. I want to see where actually the Badlands, what was considered the Badlands here in Springfield, Illinois, right? It says when the firefighters arrived, the mob impeded their progress by slashing their hoses. So they was like, man, they put shit on fire. The firefighters trying to put it out, they not even letting them put out the fire. It says many black people fled town, right? You had to flee, found refuge with sympathetic whites, or hid in the state arsenal, where the white militia protected them, the militia finally dispersed the crowd late that night after reinforcements arrived after 2 a.m. Right, but the point is it's in a spirit. Now you might say, okay, well you have some good ones that protected and try to help and stuff like that, but it don't matter, bro. The Lord judge is judging the country. He's judging the nation for what they did. He's going to destroy this whole country at the end of the day. And that's Bible prophecy because America, not just Springfield, Illinois, but America, the whole country is Mystery Babylon in the Bible, right? Which those guys don't even, these wacky type Christians don't even believe that. They believe that Mystery Babylon is the Vatican City. How, bro? When it talks about Mystery Babylon, matter of fact, let's just jump there real quick, right? In Revelations 17, right? Verse 16, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. So the 10 horns, the EU nations, NATO, um, um, which they're in alliance with, it's just alliance of different countries. How are they going to come together and burn with fire the small Vatican City? I think it's like a population of less, like a couple thousand people. One nuclear missile, not even a nuclear missile, just one bomb could destroy that whole place. So they're gonna come together and shoot missiles on this one little small Come on, bro, it don't make no sense. When it's talking about burn her with fire, it's talking about the literal geographic place that Mystery Babylon is at, not a system. Because then they like to switch to the system and say, oh, well, America is a part of a system. No, it's talking about the literal place on the map, which is called Mystery Babylon. They're going to shoot missiles on that place. Because, I mean, you might say, well, where are you getting missiles at? Well, I would ask you, how do one nation burn another nation on fire? Are they going to throw like, are they gonna come over here with flamethrowers and start lighting on shit? No, they're gonna shoot missiles, man. It's just that simple. We see that same example happening right now in Ukraine with Russia versus Ukraine, right? So it's just little stuff like that. And then even when you go to Revelations 18, which I'm not going to list it, but when you go down to verse 12, 13, it tells you of all the merchandise, which is a gold, silver, precious stones, all these things that are found in Mystery Babylon. All these things are not found in produced from the Vatican City. It's just too small, bro. Mystery Babylon is like the greatest place, the richest place on earth. If we go on Google and we just simply search like the richest place on earth, it's going to tell you that it's America. What country has the most gold on earth? It's going to be America. So when it says verse 12, the merchandise of gold, I mean, come on, just stuff like that. But let's jump back. I wanted to go back into Revelations 11 verse 1. It says, and there was given me a reed like unto a rod, and an angel stood saying, rise and measure the temple of God, right, and the altar and them that worship therein, which is the body, right, but the court which is without the temple leave out, and measure it not, for it is given into the Gentiles, and the holy city shall they tread underfoot 40 in 2 months. So it's showing you a difference who actually could be a part of the body, which is the Israelites. Now, are the other nations going to be subjected to our law, statutes, commandments? Yes. Were we subjected to the constitutional rights and the laws of America? Yeah, but do that mean that we're in our kingdom? No, right? Does that mean that this country was built for us? No, because that was one of the curses that was put on us, right? Even though it was built by us, it wasn't built for us just because we followed their laws. So just because the other nations are going to follow the laws, statutes, and commandments in the kingdom, don't mean that they're going to be saved to inherit the kingdom. It just means that they're going to be forced to follow the laws regardless. And you read about that in, let's see, this is going to be my last one. This all off the top of the head too, man. So y'all gotta come on with that bullshit, man. Cause you guys always come on the comment board like you so mighty. You just know so much. You just the top prophets. You finna come on here. You finna school me. You finna teach me. We finna get into a debate. And man, this is simple stuff. I'm miles ahead of you. You still on a low level. And then what you guys always see is once we start conversating and once we start talking, it become evident that I know way more about the Bible than you and on a higher level than you when it comes to understanding the Bible. But you guys always come in so proud as if you know everything. It's just the funniest shit ever. And I'll let you guys do it. I'll just be thinking to myself, like, look at these clowns, man. So, and like I said, we only entertain it because it's edifying to other people that read it, that really looking for the truth. And it's like practice, right? So let's keep going. Zechariah 14, right? We're going to go straight to the point. Verse 14. And it says, Judah also shall fight at Jerusalem, and the wealth of all the heathen round about should be gathered together. Gold and silver and apparel in great abundance. So we going to take all the gold, silver, and apparel in great abundance anyways. That's why it's prophesied in Revelations 21 and in Isaiah 60 that our gates should be open continuously so the other nations should, bring these things to us, right? Verse 15, and so shall be the plague of the horse and the mule and the camel and of the ass and all the beasts that shall be in these tents as this plague. Just like plagues came upon Egypt, man. It says, and it's going to come and hit America even harder. Watch. It says, and it shall come to pass that everyone that is left of all the nations which came against Jerusalem, well, the Edomites, the white man, would be a part of that list of nations that came against us, as you are reading on your screen, right? It says, shall even go up from year to year to worship the king. Now, you guys take that and say, look, that means that they could be one of us because they're going to be worshiping our king. Watch this. And the Lord of hosts, and to keep the feast of tabernacles, right? And it shall be that whoso will not come up of all the families of the earth and to Jerusalem to worship the king, the Lord of hosts, even upon them shall be no rain. And the family of Egypt go and if the family of Egypt go not up and come not that have no rain, there shall be the plague wherewith the Lord will smite the heathen that come not up to keep the feast of the tabernacle. So it's saying the Lord gonna be putting them to death. It's like stages to it. You're gonna have no rain, which is gonna lead to death and famine, right? Or you just gonna be put to death if you don't. Which showing that what the other nations, like it just said, it said families of the earth, right? The other nations are going to be forced to keep our law, statutes, commandments. And when they don't, they're going to be put to death. But it says that the Israelites are going to be saved, and then they're going to get those new bodies, and they're going to go under the new covenant. And it said that they're not going to sin no more, so therefore they're not going to be punished no more. Nobody will say that the Israelites are going to still receive punishment in our kingdom. So it's showing you a difference from the Israelites and the other families of the earth, the other nations of the earth. They are going to be forced to follow law, statutes, commandments. We're going to follow law, statutes, commandments perfectly because it's going to be put in our hearts. But they're not going to follow them perfect. Therefore, there's going to be a punishment. So it shows you a difference. You got the Israelites, law, statutes, commandments in their hearts. They follow the laws perfect. No punishment, everlasting life, paradise. Other nations, they follow the law, statutes, commandments too, but they're not going to follow them perfect. When they sin and go off, they're going to be punished for it. Two different things that's happening here to these different peoples, and that's all we're saying. So let's go to Isaiah 60 to back me up. I'm giving it all to you right now, all off the top of the head. I'm giving you the sauce right now. The spirit on me right now, so I'm giving you the sauce right now. This Isaiah 60 verse 11. I love this one. It says, therefore thy gates should be open continually. This is a prophecy, a future prophecy, right? As a matter of fact, like up here it says the city of the Lord. I mean, let's keep going. It says they should not be shut day nor night. We know this is talking about a future prophecy. This has not happened, and we know that this is talking about the kingdom because it speaks about it in Revelations 21. You see? So you can't try to say that this already happened. You guys try to wiggle out of everything. It's crazy. It says that man may bring into thee the forces of the Gentiles, and that their kings may be brought. For the nation and kingdom that would not serve thee should perish. Yeah, those nations should utterly be wasted. So not only, like it said in Zechariah 14, are they going to have to serve our Lord, they're going to have to serve the Lord's people, which is the Israelites. And it's saying if they don't serve us, they're going to perish, which matches up with Zechariah 14 because it says that the Lord's going to smite them, meaning they're going to perish or be put to death or be utterly wasted. You see how it all goes together? Matter of fact, I'm gonna name this what I'm gonna name it, and I'm gonna tag the guy in it because I mean it was like, usually when we go into debates, we like 50 comments, we 80 comments back to back, we 120 comments going back to back, breaking down the scriptures, debating. It was like 13 comments between me and him, and he ran off. That was the most easiest work. I actually kind of got excited. I'm like, okay, I got some smoke. Let me get excited. This is what's gonna keep me sharp. I'm in the spirit now going in on this video because he made it so easy for me. 13 comments, he ran off. Right? It's easy to just say I disagree, but you ain't proving them. You ain't pulling no precepts to back up your understanding. You just saying you disagree. So what? Yeah, we know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews. Right? Now let's keep going. Right? Verse 13, the glory of Lebanon should come into thee, in the fire tree, the pine tree in the box, in the box together, to beautify the place of my sanctuary, and I will make the place of my feet glorious, which is going to be amongst the Israelites. It tells you that in Isaiah 61. Let's keep going. Verse 14, the sons also of them that afflicted thee shall come bending into thy knee. Wait, this is what I just read? Springfield race riots? I think I could read this and see that the so-called white man was the ones that was afflicted us, if I'm not, incorrect, right? Oh, yeah. So I think we all could come up with an agreement that more than anybody else on earth, the so-called white man, which we say are the Edomites, were the ones that was afflicting us. Well, this says the son also of them that afflicted thee should come bending a knee, bending into thee. Wait, is this talking about somebody else that was afflicting us? It says, in all they that despise thee, this sounds like they despised us reading through this, right? And this is here in my hometown. It says, shall themselves down at thy soles of thy feet. No, they should be saved with us, be arm to arm with us in the kingdom, and inherit everlasting life with us just because they believe. It says, and they should call thee the city of the Lord, the Zion of the Holy One of Israel. No, it says, but they should bend down to us, bow the knee to us, and they're going to call us the city of the Lord, the Zion of the Holy One, the monument of the Holy One of Israel. Not themselves. So, I mean, come on. I mean, you could keep going on and on and on through it, and it keeps breaking it down. But I'm going to leave it there and say salvation to the Israelites, right? Salvation to the elect of Israel.